Have you been wearing multiple hats in your business? I think what a lot of us do, especially when we are starting out a business and things easily can ramp up and we feel overwhelmed. And one of the things that come up to mind is, when should I hire a virtual assistant? Or what do I need to do to hire a virtual assistant? Where do I even start? So if that's your case, stick around because today's episode is for you. Hola creators, I'm Yesenia Bocaneira, founder of Focus and Bloom Studios. I'm a photographer turned marketing strategist who took a leap of faith, moved over 3,000 miles away from home with one camera and one heavy suitcase filled with dreams. If you're a creative soul and dream maker, this podcast is for you. Here I share actionable tips and tactics on marketing, business, and mindset to help you grow and up-level your business with purpose and lots of joy, one action item at a time. Get comfortable and let's get started. This is the Focus and Bloom Podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Focus and Bloom Podcast. I'm your host, Yesenia, and I'm thrilled to have Kristy Yoder, who used to be a freelance virtual assistant, and she now is the founder of Smart VAs. And well, Kristy, she's here to tell you all about it. And Kristy, welcome to the Focus and Bloom Podcast. How are you?
I'm doing great, Yesenia. It's nice to be on the podcast. I'm so excited.
Me too. Thank you so much for taking the time to join me today. Before we dive into the nitty gritty, can you tell us a little bit about you and what got you started in becoming a freelance and then freelance virtual assistant and then turning that into your your virtual assisting agency?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Kristy Yoder. I am the founder of Smart VAs and podcast host of Delegate Your Way to Success. I was born and raised in the Philippines. I moved to the States a couple of years ago to get married to the love of my life. And it's been the greatest decision I've ever made, moving from the Philippines to the States to be with my husband. And so the moment I found out that I am going to be moving to the States, I started my freelancing journey. So while I was a full-time employee of a non-profitable organization, I decided to look for some freelance jobs to help me prepare for when the time I decide to quit my full-time job. So while I was working full-time, I have a couple of sidelines, and then when I realize, or when the time comes that I'm fully stable, that I'm able to leave my full-time job, I quit. And then I just started working as a freelance virtual assistant full-time. And from there, I moved to the States. And then when I moved to the States, I realized that I was saying no to a lot of opportunities. And deep inside me, deep in my heart, I know that I wanted to grow my business with team members. So I decided to hire my first independent contractor from the Philippines. And also the reason why I decided to hire a contractor from the Philippines instead of hiring somebody from the States is because I have a mission to help my fellow citizens in the Philippines. So as you all know, Philippines, it's a third world country, and I know how it feels like to live in a third world country. I know how it feels like not being able to eat 3 times a day, being hungry. So I've been into that situation. And so my mission right now, one of my missions in my business right now is to help my fellow citizens in the Philippines. So I hired my first contractor from the Philippines. The first task that I outsourced was the thing that I can do, but I know that there is someone better, someone that is suited to the role, and hiring that individual would help me think of new strategies to grow my business. And that specific task that I first outsourced is taking on discovery calls. I love talking to people, but when it comes to pitching my business or taking sales calls, it's just not me. I can do it, but do I like it? Do I enjoy it? I don't. So I outsourced that specific task. And from there, we started hiring more people to do clients' projects. And as of this interview, we have a team of 30 plus virtual assistants and 7 individuals in the leadership team, including me.
Wow, that's amazing. And that's very impressive. Congratulations for, building such a building your business and building a team. And I think it's really beautiful and very special that you opted to hire people from the Philippines to help that and feel and still have that connection to your country. I can totally relate to that. I'm from Puerto Rico, and whenever I have the opportunity to be able to connect and work with people from the island, I always opt to do that because it's just, that connection that you have from, with your country. And that's beautiful. I love that you're doing it. And it gives it even more, like more purpose to what you're doing, right? Because it's like, you're not just building the business for you and for your immediate life, but you're really making an impact in other people's lives. So, and that's also part of the whole idea of growing a team and delegating, because it's not just you that you are making an effect. You're really making an effect in other people's lives. So that's a really beautiful and special thing to do. So, okay, you mentioned that you first started delegating your discovery calls, and while you did specify that you can do that, but it wasn't you and wasn't the thing that you like. So, okay, that's a really good tip because, can you tell us a little bit of like, when should we consider, what are the hints that we should take when it's probably time to start delegating some tasks for our business?
Yeah, I mean, that is a good question. Based on my experience, you should hire a virtual assistant or delegate when you are saying no to a lot of opportunities. And if you have a dream to grow and expand your business. So I know every entrepreneur, each individual is different. So to me personally, I had the dream to have my own company or agency someday. But for other people, you may not have the same dream. But whatever dream that you have, you should always take into consideration the steps that are gonna get you to that goal or to that specific dream that you have. So whether you want to have an agency, or if you want to grow a company, or if you just want to be an like a solopreneur, a solo freelancer, delegation is very important. So not liking a task, it's not enough reason to hire a virtual assistant or to delegate. You have to have a mission and vision in your business. So I think you should ask yourself, is the thing that you are doing right now taking you one step closer to the dream or to the goal that you have for your business? And if not, then it's time for you to take a step and do something. And second, I guess, is you should hire a virtual assistant, or you should start delegating when you can no longer spend time with your family, kids, friends, or anyone who is important to you. Because, to me personally, I started my business because I want to be able to work from home. I want to be able to be in control of my schedule. I want to have freedom and flexibility. And I want to be able to become a wife to my husband. I don't want to be glued to my business. So I want to be able to wake up in the morning, prepare breakfast for my husband, cook dinner in the evening, and in the future, when it's time for us to have a family, to have kids, I want to be able to spend time with my kids and take care of them, and not have other people take care of them. I want to be the mother. So. And one of the reasons why I started my business as well is to have more income, to have a stable income, because I want to be able to provide for my family and help my family in the Philippines. So if you are not able to do those things and you are successful, you have to reevaluate your life, because being successful, it's nothing when you lose sight of the people that are most important to you. What are you going to do with the money that you have right now when you have nothing to spend it on, because you don't have your family, you don't have your kids, you don't have your friends or anyone that you love, because they are avoiding you because you don't have time for them. You always say no whenever they invite you to go watch a movie or have coffee or whatever. So I guess those things are important. And also, I just want to share a story. So
Yeah.
Early this year, when my husband and I got COVID, and when you have COVID, it sucks. You won't be able to get up from your bed. And so my husband, he works outside, so he's a skilled worker, so he's employed, and I am self-employed. And so while I was out for 3 weeks, my team members were encouraging me to stop working. And they're like, no, don't work, just rest and, recover as soon as you can. We'll take care of the business. So I was sick for 3 weeks, and the first week that I was sick, my team members, they were able to bring on 9 new clients. And how
Wow.
in the world did that happen? And that is because I was able to share my mission and vision to my team members. And even when I'm out, the business can grow. So you need to ask yourself, like, when you get sick or when you go on vacation for 2 to 6 months, what would happen to your company? Is it still gonna grow? So I think if your answer is no, then it's time for you to delegate. And I don't know if you've heard of the book called E-Myth. So it's from Michael Gerber. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. He said that an exceptional leader builds a company that functions without them. I'm not saying that I am a perfect leader. I just have books that I read and learn from those people that I look up to. I'm not perfect. Like, I messed up all the time, but I think for me, I know how important delegation is.
That was beautiful. It's funny because we've just restarted the recording of this episode because we had some technical difficulties. I think it's divine order because you had not talked about that story in the first 10 minutes when we were doing the previous recording. And I'm so glad you shared that. I'm glad that both your husband and you were able to recover and continue, day-to-day life after COVID. So good for that. Definitely. And wow, you were still able to grow your business, and how nice that your employees were able to cheer you, like, hey, they were there for you. And while that is a whole different topic of building a team that connects with your vision and your mission of the company, but being able, that's something that is super important for us to consider. What if when you get sick, if can your business run without you? And that means when we start a business, we probably, a lot of us don't have a big team. So there are things that we won't be able to avoid if we get sick, for example. But it's just thinking about the things, thinking ahead of time. It's not just the present, thinking of what is next. What can we do? Where can we take this business? And how do we want to see our life? How do we envision us in 3 years? Even 5. I don't like the whole, where do you see yourself in 5 years? So at least I'll say 2 or 3, where do you want to take this? And I think you mentioned the idea of, it's important to, one of the moments where you should start thinking about hiring or delegating some of the tasks is when not only do you start saying no to things, but also you start missing out on things, on life things. It's all about work-life balance, and I'm glad that you were able to share that story. Divine order for sure.
Yep, I believe that.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Okay. So let's say I'm ready to start delegating, but I still don't know where to start. So what are some essential skills what are some skills or things that I should keep in mind when looking for a virtual assistant? And then virtual assistant, we're using this as a big term because it could be a lot of things.
Exactly, because virtual assistant, that word, it's very generic. It's like a shortcut for social media managers, website developers who are all working independently online. So it really depends on what you are looking for. So if you need a social media VA, that means you need someone who has a background in marketing. If you need a graphic designer VA, that means you need someone who has an eye for detail and design. But in general, I think it's important for a VA to have management skills, because that VA should be able to help you out with everything, management wise. And second thing is your VA should be highly reliable. Like right now we work remotely, and somebody can just ghost you without any warning. So you have to make sure that your VA is highly reliable, and make sure that your VA has an excellent communication skills, because that is very important. And also make sure that your VA is proactive, because as a business owner, sometimes you miss those small details, and you're not able to, and that small details are hindering your VA to do some tasks that you want your VA to do. But if your VA is proactive and he really knows what he's doing, then that person would hunt you down and ask you for a specific question that, hey, you said that I need to work on your social media calendar, but you did not provide me the graphics, or you did not provide me the theme of the social media content that you want for this specific month. So proactive skills is very important, and being honest and trustworthy is also important. One of what, like, as a business owner, one of the things that I look into, or like one of my non-negotiable when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant, is honesty and trustworthy. And for some reason, you won't be able to find out if your VA is honest and trustworthy if you don't start working with your VA. So I'd say start working with your VA and observe her or his first or 2 weeks of working with you, and see if this person is honest and trustworthy. And it's also important that your VA is able to work unsupervised, because as a business owner, you're busy with your life, you're with your business, thinking of things to grow your business. And if you are going to micromanage your business, that is going to hinder you from working on your business. And you also have to make sure that your VA is resourceful, and I always tell my VA that if you have a question, try Googling it first before going to your team leaders or to me, because everything is in Google right now, or it's everything is on YouTube. So you have to make sure that your VA is resourceful. And lastly, you have to make sure that your VA is able to add value to your business. So one of the things that I really like with my VAs is that they just take on tasks and do it for you. They give you ideas and recommendations on how you can better do the task, or how you can better grow your business. So I think if you found someone, or if you find someone who has that value adding skill, it's gold.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I think the whole idea of being proactive is gold, because you miss a lot. I mean, it's like I said at the beginning, we wear a lot of hats when it comes to building a business. And you might be, your mind might, as an entrepreneur, your mind might be specifically focused on a particular project. Let's say you're launching a new course, or you are working on a wedding client, for example. And there's other things that are still happening. So maybe, when you have somebody in your team that is proactive, they're going to go organically going to do, go the extra mile. And I love that you mentioned just ask Google. That's exactly what I do. When when I don't know something, like, let me just Google this, or let me just YouTube it. I'm sure the answer is somewhere, or in a forum somewhere. The internet is wonderful.
Exactly.
Yes. And one thing that I want to mention, like, a lot of our listeners are photographers, and also entrepreneurs, service-based entrepreneurs. But for photographers, for example, if you're not ready to start to hire a virtual assistant, one thing that is very often time consuming, and one of the things that a lot of photographers tend to outsource first, is the editing. The photo editing, which takes a lot of time, especially after a wedding. So maybe that is something that you can start thinking of delegating. So not necessarily hiring a full-time or a part-time assistant, but outsourcing certain tasks that will still allow you to get more time, so you can continue growing and innovating and strategizing for your business. And obviously, and this is another conversation, because it's all about pricing and that mindset of growth, but you still have the opportunity to delegate certain tasks and still be able to continue building the business and enjoying what you do.
Right.
So, okay, once we're ready to hire somebody to outsource, what are specifically for a virtual assistant? What are some tips or tricks that you can share with us for us as an entrepreneur to prepare to delegate tasks? How can you share something to enlighten us?
Yeah, I mean, I love that question. And I have my notes here. So I have a step-by-step steps for you to take. So whoever is listening to this podcast episode, please have a pen and paper and write down exactly what I say if you feel like this is helpful for you. So first, if you think you are ready to hire a virtual assistant, you need to ask yourself, do you have a goal and vision for your business? Because if you don't have a goal and vision for your business, your business is not going to go anywhere. You're just stuck. So ask yourself, do you have a goal and vision for your business? And then after that, sit and plan how you are going to achieve your goals. Be smart about it. Make sure that your plan is specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. And as far as I know, you have an episode that talks about the SMART goals, right?
Yes, I have two. I have the SMART goals and the smarter goals.
Awesome. So there you go. That's very helpful for them to be smart about their goals and plan or on how they're going to achieve those goals that they have. So once you have those things, you have to make a detailed inventory of tasks and classify them under one of these categories. So you have the first category is for growth, and the other category is for daily operations. So list down all the tasks that you have and categorize them. Either they are for growth or if they are for daily operations. The objective is that for you to determine the time each task will require to complete so that you can delegate them wisely. Like for instance, for growth, the tasks that are under your growth category, those tasks may take a while for you to accomplish or for your VA to accomplish because it's for growth. That means it's for long term. And for daily operations, then this is the task that you can assign to your VA like urgent or immediately because you're gonna have to do it daily to be able to run your operations or your business successfully. And then once you have those things figured out, now this is my favorite part. You are going to have to funnel down the remaining tasks on your inventory using the quadrant of delegation. So just imagine you have 4 quadrants. So take a piece of paper, like you can draw like 4 boxes, like a quadrant. And then on the upper left quadrant, that would be your quadrant 1. So quadrant 1, that would be the task that you are good at and enjoy doing. So those tasks that under quadrant 1, you should do that most of the time. And then quadrant 2, which is the upper right quadrant, those are the tasks that you are not good at but you enjoy doing. So you have to do that 10% of the time. So I hope you're following here. So, and then quadrant 3, lower left quadrant, those are the tasks that you are good at but don't enjoy doing. So delegate those tasks 90% of the time. And then quadrant 4, which is lower left quadrant, those are the tasks that you are not good at and you don't enjoy doing. Those are the tasks that you have to delegate 100% of the time. So once you have your task inventory and then you were able to fill your quadrant of delegation with tasks, quadrant 1, 2, 3, and 4, then you should be able to know where to go from there.
That's really great. I love that you have an example to visualize it. If you are driving and you obviously cannot take notes, don't worry. Visit focusandbloomstudios.com/show notes because we're going to put all these juicy content information for today's podcast. So don't worry, just continue listening.
Continue driving.
Yeah, continue driving and listening. That's very important. This is really good. I like that, especially just having that visualization option. Okay, so for someone who isn't ready to scale, they just started, let's say, they're not there yet for whatever reason. So what are some tips that you can recommend to help them out to at least maybe, whether that is setting up a system or just something to ease their work, their day-to-day, maybe some of those day-to-day tasks, so that, kind of preparing them for whenever they're ready to hire somebody. So it's like pre-setting the stage. Can you share something? Can you share some of those tips?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think if you feel like you are not ready yet, that is okay. But you should ask yourself this question: why are you not ready? So this is just my personal opinion, okay? If you're in business for less than a year, then I think it is understandable if you are not delegating yet, if you are not hiring people to help you in your business yet, because you're still trying to figure out everything. You're kind of like testing the waters. But if you are in business for almost 2 years already, you need to ask yourself why are you not delegating? So these questions might help you process that. So do you live by the mantra that if you want something done right, you do it yourself? And do you measure productivity by the number of tasks you can juggle at any given time? Do you equate delegating to failing at managing a giving task yourself? Or at the back of your mind, do you doubt whether anyone else can actually get the work done right? So again, if you are in the business for over 2 years, ask yourself these questions, because I feel like you should already be delegating, and you need to reevaluate your mission and vision as an individual and as an entrepreneur. Like what I mentioned earlier, if what you are doing right now helps you get one step closer to your goals and dreams without delegating, then that's fine. If you can do it all, that's fine. But 95% of the time, a business owner cannot do everything. And if you feel like what you are doing right now is not getting you closer to your goals and dreams, then you need to start delegating. And I just shared the step-by-step process of delegation in order to scale your business. So I mean, if you feel like you're in a situation where you're not delegating, you feel like you're not ready because you feel like you can do everything, and that is wrong. So you need to go back to what I mentioned earlier, the step-by-step process, in order for you to prepare to scale your business through the power of teamwork and also delegation. And I feel like one of the reasons why business owners or entrepreneurs feel like they are not ready yet to hire a virtual assistant or to delegate is because they feel like hiring a VA is an expense, not an investment. So like just think of this, like when you are a podcast host, you are interviewing people for like an hour, and then after that if you're the one editing it, writing show notes, it will take you like 3 to 6 hours depending on how good you are. If you pay yourself, let's say $100 per hour, and it takes you 6 hours to edit your podcast, that means you are robbing yourself $600 every time you edit your own podcast. But if you outsource that to somebody else,
You're saving.
and you have 6 hours to plan your business, to grow your business and focus on revenue generating tasks, then you would be able to scale your business quickly. So I think that's one of the reasons why entrepreneurs think they are not ready, because they don't see delegation as an investment. They see it as an expense. And yeah, I think one thing that I also want to add is that 80% of what you do as a business owner should be delegated, and 20% of your time should be saved for growth and for innovation and for strategic thinking.
It's that 80-20 rule.
Yeah, 80-20 rule. Unless you want to be an employee of your business.
Yeah. I love that you mentioned the keyword investment. It's not, when it comes to photography, and I often, I really emphasize this a lot with photography, because one of the very common questions is like, what camera should I get? Or what lens should I get? And like, okay, fine. And I understand the question, and, photography gear is expensive, and I get it. But I see it, you want to make whatever decision you make for your business, purchases, outsourcing, anything, You need to make sure that it's an investment, keyword, and not just spending money. So it's going back to that, asking yourself, what are your goals? What are those for? What are those, divide your, what you need to do, what you do, what you're good at, what you're not so good at, and what you want to outsource, and what things that, just organize the business in a way that you have a clear understanding of what are those must day-to-day tasks. What are the things that you can outsource? What are the things that you need to do in order to continue growing? And how can you make it possible for you to then start outsourcing? And then that's a little bit of mindset, and also in when it comes to the pricing aspect as well, which we're not going to dive into that because that's a whole topic. It's a whole different topic. But it's an investment, because you're allowing yourself to continue to stay creative, to challenge yourself and stay creative, to innovate and continue doing things to make your business really stand out. Because ultimately, how are you going to stand out if, the market is saturated in whatever thing? So, that's one of your tasks. You need to make sure to really build a business that stands out. And part of that is the back end of things, the processes, the system, the mindset.
Yep, exactly.
This is so great. I'm excited. And this is really, I love that you were able to share some really actionable tips, but also you shared some of that mindset tips, because that's really, it's a really key thing when it comes to building, growing, scaling your business. It's just having that right mindset. But as we're getting ready to wrap up the podcast episode, before we head out, can you share what are your top 3 tools that you use on your day-to-day for your business?
Yeah, sure. So I use Dubsado. I don't know if you're familiar with that software. So I use Dubsado is a CRM tool. We use that to send contracts to our clients, and also for our leads to book a meeting with us. And we also use the workflow that they have in Dubsado, because I'm a lazy person. So if I cannot delegate a task, I would find a way to automate that task. And that's why one of my favorite tool is Zapier. So I zap everything. I automate everything. Like if there's a way I can make my life easier by automating things, then I would do that. So first Dubsado, and then Zapier, and also Slack. Slack, it's very essential, because if we don't have Slack, I wouldn't be able to communicate with my team members. And like what I mentioned earlier, communication is very important when you have a team of virtual assistants.
Yeah, I love Slack. I use 17 Hats, but it's pretty much the same. Like it's sort of the same thing. And Zapier too. Very cool. I love that you mentioned the keyword automation here. That's a really great way for you to, if you just started on your business, think of automating some of the things in your business so that you're getting things done even while you're sleeping. If somebody comes across your website and they want to inquire to book you, while you're sleeping, you have a lead coming in, and it's your business works for you, not the other way around.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome. Kristy, thank you so very much for joining me on the podcast. But before we go, can you tell us, how can people connect with you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram, Kristy Abby Yoder. And if you want to know more information about me on my Instagram account, I have a link on there. I have a link on my bio. And then if you click on that link, you should be able to see everything that I do, from hiring a virtual assistant, from, podcast.
Your podcast.
Yeah, my podcast. And also I have a YouTube channel as well. And also I have a freebie. So everything that I talk about here, the task inventory and also the quadrant of delegation, those can be found in our free ebook. So if you go to smartvirtualassistants.com/freebies, you should be able to download our free ebook. And that ebook is really amazing. Like it will help you grow your business through delegation, and it will give you the tools that you need to assist you in delegation, and it will give you fresh perspectives as well about delegation.
Beautiful. And we will be including all of those juicy links on our show notes page, focusandbloomstudios.com/show notes. Kristy, thank you so very much for joining me on today's episode and for braving the whole techie issues prior to the first version.
I enjoyed it.
Thank you so very much. And everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. And I will see you on the next episode. Take care.